grittier. We've seen Toronto get gritty before, but these are actual players who've had some success. Um, I feel in the playoffs, having big moments. They've got those guys. I don't think it has to be the big guys. I think they have a team now that has specific roles. Maybe that's a better way of putting it. And the game is changing a lot. And a lot of times we have players nowadays miscast where you're playing a player, maybe the bottom two lines are the farm club for the top two lines. That's not going to win in the playoffs. You have to have the players that think the game a certain way, playing particular roles, being able to sit there and maybe play 11 minutes a night, but be effective in those 11 minutes. They have guys that can do that. So that's what I meant by that. This is a team come playoff time. I think that you're not going to have to look at the same guys all the time. And I think it's a very well built, honestly, probably outside of Vegas for forward depth, I might like Toronto. They might be my second favorite forward depth team in the National Hockey League. And who knows, I might be dead wrong the way the season plays out. But I think Scotty Lawton getting more and more comfortable, having a full season. Nick Waugh, I think, is going to pan out really well. Dakota Joshua is an intriguing one to me. And you go on some of the bigger guys that they've had burst on the scene, maybe taking the next step. Matthew Knight, Bobby McMahon, I've loved. So, yeah, I think this team's going to be a much more difficult out in the postseason. They might not have as much regular season success as far as point total, but they're closer to a Stanley Cup right now, I believe.
You know, Rupper, these teams kind of take these steps in their rebuild to getting into playoffs with some consistency, and then the expectations change, right? For the Leafs, it's like, okay, how do we find that next level? Round 2 last year, how do you get farther? Watching some of these other teams, and I have in Montreal in mind right now, they've made this transition from the rebuild to a team that made the playoffs and kind of what's coming next. They play Detroit last night and win 5-1, a good showing there. There's rumors about Crosby this year, and people are like, what about Montreal? Maybe he'll go to Montreal. He loved them as a kid. I don't know. What are your thoughts on A, where the Canadians are at, and B, your boy Sidney Crosby, if he's going to go somewhere or not? Because that would be a match that Habs fans would love to hear.
That would be incredible. I'll start with the first thing. Montreal was so fun to watch. What a special year last year was, and how special Nick Suzuki was down the stretch. I mean, I don't know where you guys are at on him, but I mean, I think he's an elite centerman in this league now. And I thought he was a very good one before, but what he did last year down the stretch, almost willing that team in some regards. There's that 2 games. I think it was like March. It was something like March 30th and April 1st, both against the Florida Panthers, home and home. And he basically willed them the 2 wins in their comeback fashion in the third period. It was all Nick Suzuki, and I loved it. But I love Lane Hudson's season. I just think that last year had something special to it that's going to be very hard to replicate. Mm-hmm. And I think they have question marks as far as it's almost the same thing that we were talking about before. You can't just slap talent and say it's going to work. Like now, all of a sudden, you're getting into a season where's Patrick Laine fit in to the scheme of winning on a night-to-night basis, or into the playoffs, or even Demidov, elite talent. I'm not sure how trustworthy defensive zone, which is fine if you're getting points, but you start looking at the lineup. I have some questions. I have some questions on the back end. I think this year, when expectations land, it changes a lot. Mm-hmm. And they were just fun to watch because it wasn't supposed to happen. Well, now everyone's crowning that it is supposed to happen. They've arrived in some regards. I'll be honest, boys, I think it's going to be a grind to make the playoffs for them this year. I don't know if they get in. I think if they do get in, it's because the Metro's a fairly weak division, and maybe that only pumps out 3 teams to go into the playoffs. They have a lot. It's all part of the growth for them. But I think they got to pump the brakes a little bit as far as some fans ready to say this team's there. I think you might get disappointed.
Rubber, we just spoke moments ago about a crazy goal in San Jose last night. We saw another bizarre goal in Edmonton's opening game with Coleman poking a loose puck through Skinner's pads. Is this just shaping up to be another year where everybody questions the Edmonton Oilers goaltending, and the only way this thing gets addressed is either one of two ways. You get another goalie to step in, or Skinner wins a Stanley Cup. But where is this conversation headed in your eyes?
It was brutal the other night because it's, you know, that question's always going to be there, but you're hoping that it doesn't happen in game one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, let's everybody wants to get their feet wet, get into the season a little bit. And the way it happens, and I give him a ton of credit. The way he handles himself in the media, and he takes it, and I think he started his media scrum with, all right, let's just get it out of the way. I love this kid, and I think they love him. Loving him doesn't mean that he's the right guy to lead you to a Stanley Cup. And this is where it gets tough. It's like I root for him. I think he's a good goalie. But this storyline has been written since Stuart Skinner got in there, and it was written before him. It's always been that is what the storyline is going to be. If they don't win a Stanley Cup, that is what it's going to be about. We don't have the goaltending, because they have all these other things in place in some regards. I still think there's room to get better on their player roster. But when you got Connor and Leon and they're able to just will this team to Stanley Cup Finals 2 years in a row, it's like you're almost waiting for it to happen, man. I feel bad. I don't know. To answer your question, I think I can see an equation where Stuart Skinner is part of this solution, but I don't know if he is the solution. So what does that mean? About Ingram's a fascinating one. I love the move because you're always going to be looking at it. I don't know I think it might be a long season of just always revisiting the goalie market. What's available? What situations are presenting itself in different markets. It's unfortunately going to be following this team, because a lot of people think, and look at it, you get one game away from winning a Stanley Cup 2 years ago, and to being that close last year. There's always a what if. What if that was a strength of theirs? I don't know. I feel bad for the guy. He's got the great demeanor for it, but that is what is going to be the narrative, regardless if it's deserved or not.
For sure it is. It's been funny watching what wins in the NHL lately. I wonder if you think the pendulum is swinging back towards toughness. You know, you look at the Four Nations face-off, kicks off in such a competitive manner, and that's such a big part of a game between two highly skilled teams. And then you see the Florida Panthers kind of brutalize people on their way to getting to beat Skinner and the Oilers a couple times. Do you think there's a little bit of a swing back towards, oh yeah, this is still a game where intimidation matters, toughness matters, or do you think it's just going to always progress more towards the speed and skill side?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's never going to go back to where it once was, which I don't want it to. But I think what we're seeing the last few seasons is it's very prevalent still. It matters. When you get 18 skaters on a night-to-night basis, all playing the same way, whether they're tough or not, and they've got each other's backs and playing a particular way, kind of starting things and running their mouths and doing things, it matters. I think that's what makes that Florida Panther team so difficult. Yeah, I think teams are starting to react to it. Now, I'll say this, that the Florida Panthers have been one of the most, I've enjoyed watching them more than any team I've seen probably since I've started playing in the NHL too. Just as far as the way that they all have this belief and play a particular way. And what I meant by that before is not all the guys are tough. I mean, you've seen some of these guys play in other markets in their career, and I wouldn't say they're tough, but together they're kind of fierce, man. They're not like one tough. Gadjevich is like the one guy on their team who can drop the gloves at any given moment. They don't really have other guys, but they're all willing to do it. They're all willing to do certain things. And I wonder this in the preseason when we started seeing that riff-raff with Tampa. When are teams going to have enough of it? You know what I mean? Like, that's my question. It's like Marchand is putting out those things in the postseason with the Stanley Cup, and he's got that, what did he have, that logo or whatever on his shirt that said Oilers stink and whatever. I mean, hey, you earned it. I love them. I love that team. But like at some point, you got to start letting them know you're not going to stand for that. And it's not in the playoffs. You can't all of a sudden just like, oh, today we're going to play tough again. No, that's who they are. They wake up looking for ways to piss you off. every day, 365 days a year, not just today in
That's
game
their
one of the
nature.
10 that got playoffs.
That's their nature.
That's who they are. So my point is, I think other teams, they should have to run a gauntlet through 82 games and almost have to pay for all the shenanigans they pulled last year. Until that's done, no, they're still going to win.
Oh, no.
No one's going to touch them. So, yeah, it does matter because they're the only team that's doing those things.
It's a better league, more interesting league with the Florida Panthers in it right now.
Yes, 100%.
Awesome stuff, Rupper. Really appreciate you taking some time for us. Definitely not a stranger on this show, man. Anytime, okay?
Yes, I'll be ready to jump on anytime. And
Awesome.
boys, I hope your Jays get it done. I
Yeah. There you go, Rupper. That is Mike Rupp. Unlike our Steve Alliquette, doesn't come on with the opposition cap on.
I thought it was a fascinating, maybe difference between the teammates that you both guys were.
What do you mean?
Well, Kipper, I mean, you're like, I'll be afraid to talk to him after he let in a goal like that.
I-
And Rupper's like, I'd flip one in on him and be like, oh, you can save that one, can you? Like, I just thought it's like, there's different approaches
I
to that. I
have
thought that was fascinating.
Been on occasion to be accused of not being the most sensitive person.
No. Nick
Stop it.
Kypreos?
Stop it.
No
Stop
way.
that right now. But I wouldn't dare go up to a goalie within 24 hours and go and joke around
Yeah,
over it.
I think it totally is goalie status dependent. Like, if your goalie is Lundqvist later in his career, you can rib him about it. He's not going to lose his job or his
Yeah.
paycheck, or he's fine. You can
I
give him a
can't
hard
see
time.
Connor McDavid, having fun with Skinner
Yeah,
at this point.
no, because it's like, yeah, that could have ended my career here. Like that could have been maybe not so funny. So I think it's situation dependent.
All right, just a reminder, this Friday we're going to do texts, right?
Yes. So we're going to do them some here. We're also going to do some in the Leafs Hour coming up. We'll do lots of texts as we do on Fridays. We got to get the Leafs line fired back up soon, too. So maybe once the Jays are done, or maybe we'll get some crossover calls. I'm not sure how many people are calling in about the Leafs right now, but we'll try to do some Leafs line. But text in 59590, and we'll do some texts after the break. Talk about a couple of the other games, too, as well. So, 59590. Text.
Let's have it.
All right, quick break here.
Yes, sir.
Catch your breath, everybody. More Real Kipper and Bourne after these words. Welcome back to the program. Nick Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Sammy McKee. All right, where do you want to go?
Well, let's just quick shout out to Kyle Connor, signs his contract, shoots 3 in the net last night. That's got to feel good. A lot of toques on the ice, I noticed.
Ran out of time.
Yeah, it's already minus 40 in Winnipeg. So
Yeah, they did run out of time.
Probably a little disappointing that they couldn't get the win, but
Taves
playing a
played.
pretty good team.
Yeah.
Rantanen starts the game off exactly where he left off in the playoffs, just scoring points.
immediately one of the best contracts.
It's actually funny looking back at that whole Colorado rant and stuff, and then how the market shifted immediately after he
Immediately.
signed.
Mistake.
And now it's like, oh,
You had to pay Natchez 11 and a half.
yeah. Yeah,
You know what? They're going to end up, if they sign Natchez, they're going to have to give him what they weren't willing to pay
No.
Rantanen.
No, they can't get. They can't. They cannot. Whatever they offered Rantanen, they have to be under it by a nickel. They cannot. They can't give him the same money they tried to give.
It's a lot
Rantanen.
of numbers to write. Try to think of it in my brain.
Yeah. If they said to Rantanen, we'll give you 11.5.
There's
they
a
have to
real
give
there's a real belief that
11.499.
the $6 million player last year is now the $8 million
Yeah, okay.
player, and the 8's the 10, and the 10 is 12.
Natchez ain't
Natchez,
$12 million player. He is
the
not.
market could get him that though if he chooses to walk from whatever
Yeah.
he thinks is a low ball offer from
Yeah.
Colorado.
Yesterday's price
But
is not today's price.
If
that's
then they gotta trade
truer
him.
words.
They got to trade him, right?
Ah,
This is the Carolina saw this coming. Carolina was like, we're not paying Natchez for 8 years.
You
That
know-
kind of money.
I was watching Kyle.
but
Con-
he's
oh,
he's going to score 80 points playing with McKinnon.
Yeah.
Like, it is 80 points is in the ballpark between 10 and 12.
You know why? Because he can keep up.
Yeah.
He flies.
Flies.
Like, he flies. Kyle Connor just always reminds me. Remember when they scratched him in the final of the Four Nations face-off?
What a bad mistake that was.
They did?
Yes.
Hey,
For Chris Kreider.
no,
Yeah.
And Brock Nelson.
for Kachuk.
Oh, right. And then Kachuk
For-
played